The Phoenix Suns have officially moved on from the Kevin Durant era and are now stuck in a spot that may be worse than they were before. Looking at what they got back in return for Kevin Durant, they got some pretty solid things, but nothing that I would look at and say, oh, wow, this is going to really change the future of this team. I mean, people are making jokes now saying that the Suns could go out there and put a starting five of shooting guards. This team has a lot of work to do as well, but they did get the 10th pick back. They got Jalen Green, they got Dillon Brooks, and it seems like they're going to make a few more moves that I'll talk about in a few minutes, but this team's direction isn't looking so good going forward, but maybe there's a way that this team can come back. So let's take a look at what the Suns are going to look like this year and within the next few years. So like I said, the Suns got back a package for Kevin Durant. Was this the best package that they could have got? I mean, potentially, but we'll have to look and see what happens with this, especially going back in the next few years, and we'll have to come back to this trade to see what exactly came from it. But now, when we look at it, in reality, the Suns in 2021 had some great players, Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges over there, and then now it seems like they ended up trading those and some picks for Dillon Brooks and Jalen Green after they traded for Kevin Durant, and obviously Kevin Durant is now gone as well after they missed the playoffs and the team was just absolutely terrible. They are also paying Bradley Beal one of the highest paid contracts in the league, which is also just insane to think about. Bradley Beal last season was bad. They were expecting a 20-point per game score. You know, he put up 17 points per game, but it just seemed like there was nothing there, right? You know, he would go in and he would play some decent games, but then there were some games he played 30 minutes against the Celtics, put up 1 point, 0 for 7, 0 for 3 from the field, and he was just not that great. And that's even if he was on the court. Like the past 2 seasons, he played exactly 53 games both years, but he was hurt for a while, but then he would come in, and this team just wasn't built very well. And for a guy that's making $50 million, you're averaging 17 points per game, I would be pretty upset if I were the Suns and if I were a Suns fan. But the owner, he said that you asked the other 29 GMs about a few weeks ago if he was asked that if he was nervous about the future, and he said that if you asked the other 29 GMs what they would do, they would all take the players that they have right now and the assets that they have right now. Any team would want that. So I don't know if I completely believe that, but I think the next move for this team is to trade Bradley Beal, right? I think that is kind of the elephant in the room when we're talking about Phoenix right now. Bradley Beal needs to be gone. He is just not good, I don't think, right now at basketball. Maybe he could go somewhere else and become another guy that is going to, like, maybe he can go back and be the guy that he was in Washington if he goes somewhere else, but they definitely do need to get rid of Bradley Beal, and I think that's the next move for this team. People were talking about trading Jalen Green. I think looking forward to the future, this Suns depth at the shooting guard position is going to be very interesting. Having a guy like Devin Booker, having a guy in Jalen Green, having a guy like Dillon Brooks, who obviously would probably play the 3, but you know, he really is a 2. But then you have a guy like Grayson Allen who's playing the 3 already, who's also really a 2. So right now you have a guy that's making $50 million sitting on your bench in Bradley Beal. They still don't have a center. They still don't have a point guard because Devin Booker is a shooting guard. I mean, Devin Booker is the definition of a shooting guard. He's a guy that really goes out there. He gets the ball when he's passed to after the point guard dribbles up the court like he had before in Chris Paul and gets Devin Booker those open looks. They don't have a point guard right now. They have essentially 5 shooting guards, 2 guys that can flex out to the small forward. Even if they're going to end up having to put Dillon Brooks at the 4, and you have Nick Richards as your starting center right now, and you have Bradley Beal on the bench who's making $50 million. So the future of this team really isn't that great, and the present isn't really that great either. They have Ryan Dunn, their first-round pick last year. I'm really not a big believer in him. I know some people think maybe he could be good. He had some pretty solid games throughout the season, but 43%, 31% from 3 from a forward, I'm not really too happy with 43% from the field, if I'm being honest, from a guy like him. But who knows? I mean, maybe he could progress. They are going to get the 10th pick in this year's draft, so they could go out and potentially get a center. I mean, there's a few different options in this year's NBA draft, and especially at that center position, with having the 10th pick, there are going to be a few guys that could potentially fall down there to their position. Right now, they're looking at a guy in maybe Colin Murray Bowles from South Carolina. He could be a potential option as well. Maloch from Duke, if he falls past or 210, maybe they even want to trade up and get him from Duke. I mean, a pretty big guy there at over 7 feet tall. That could definitely help them. But besides that, I just really, unless they get something back for Bradley Beal, which I doubt. I mean, $50 million is hard to get rid of, and if you do, you're going to get other guys that aren't on great contracts either, and the rest of this team just doesn't seem too great, like I said. And going forward, I mean, they're still missing some of their picks, right? Having those traded away because of these other trades that they've been doing in the past, they just don't have it, right? They have their 2026 pick. Washington has the right to swap it, so I guess essentially they have that one as well. But going forward, I mean, it's really going to be tough for this team to actually build something together, because right now they just have a mix of guys that all kind of play the same. They all need the ball in their hands. Guys like Jalen Green, guys like Devin Booker, they all need the ball in their hand. Bradley Beal, but I would assume that he's gone. If they can get rid of Bradley Beal and maybe get a center, maybe this team looks a little bit better. But as of right now, that big three of Jalen Green, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal or Dylan Brooks, however you want to look at it, I don't think this team is going to do very well, especially in the West that we saw last year. How good the West was last year and how good these teams are going to be coming back. I mean, looking at those teams from last season, right, you got teams like Oklahoma City, Houston, who just got better, the Lakers, who are going to get better with Luka having his full offseason, the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Timberwolves. I'm taking the Warriors over them. I'm taking the Grizzlies with Ja, Triple J with them. The Kings, I mean, I would probably take the Kings over them at this point as well. The Mavericks, easily. The way that team's going to be shaping up with Cooper Flag as well. They are really in that bottom five. I think they're out of the play-in tournament at this point, which is really bad. I mean, if you're out of the play-in tournament, that's a pretty bad thing, considering there's only 5 teams out of the 15 in each conference that aren't going to be making the playoffs. I mean, they're down there in the dumps with the Pelicans, the Jazz. The Spurs went 34-48 last year. I think they're going to be better than the Suns as well. So that puts the Suns really, really towards the bottom of the barrel. I don't see them being a top 10 team in the West next year as well. I think they're going to be competing down there with a team like the Trailblazers, who really don't have much either. But I mean, looking at both of those teams, Anthony Simmons, Shadon Sharp, Denny Avdia, Donovan Clingan, and some other younger players with Scoot Henderson, I think they have more optimism than a team like the Suns. But I don't know. Maybe I'm being too harsh on the Suns. Let me know down below what you guys think. Maybe if they can go out and trade Bradley Beal and get something, get a good pick, and get a guy that can actually help them with the 10th overall pick this season, and maybe even trade a guy like Jalen Green or Dylan Brooks and put them on the move as well. If you want to commit to keeping Devin Booker at that shooting guard position and going out and getting a true point guard, that could help. But let me know what you guys think down below. Am I being too harsh? I'll see you guys in the next one.